Hello, everybody. It's Sarah Kumalo here, Summits with a Purpose, in conversation with Jelle Veyt. Jelle is an amazing person that I first met in 2015 when I went to Everest for the first time. Was it 2015 or 2014?
I think the first time was 2014.
14, yeah, absolutely. So Jelle is very interesting, also pursuing the 7 summits. The only thing is he's actually going to do it with human power. What does that mean? He's going to tell us all about it, and I hope you enjoyed it. You enjoy it at the end of it. Please join us, ask questions, and let us know what you think. And this is Jelle. Hey, Jelle, please introduce yourself.
Okay, hello everybody. So I'm Jelle Veyt. I'm from Belgium. I'm full on. I'm a physiotherapist part-time, and at the same time I'm an adventurer. So as Sarah said, we met in 2014, and I'm pursuing the 7 summits as well, doing completely on human powered. So that means I cycle, row, ski, walk to all these summits, and then I climb them. So in the past 7 years, I've been doing this and been preparing and everything for every day in my life, actually, from the past 7 years. Currently in Belgium, like many people, being stuck with our adventures because of the COVID-19 situation.
Yeah. Wow, crazy. But how did you get into climbing? Why mountaineering? You could do anything, but why mountaineering?
Yeah, it's for me, I've always been attracted to the mountains. I come from a cycling family, and when I was a kid, we mostly went to the Belgian mountains, let's say. They're not real mountains, but at least always in the hills. And then when they did a holiday for cycling, they went to the mountains. And then from there I saw, you follow the roads and you cycle up, and I just loved it. Then I discovered that mountaineering or climbing actually it extended my freedom that I had while cycling, because while cycling I experienced a lot of feeling of freedom. But I can park my bike and I can start climbing, and that just extends it. And I always want to see when I'm on a summit, how it would be, how it would feel like. And I've always been attracted to being high up in the mountains. And then I just started to do it once on a trip with my oldest brother. I cycled to the Pyrenees from Belgium. Then we crossed them in a traverse by bicycle.
Wow.
And I said, I want to climb the highest mountain of the Pyrenees. And I didn't know anything about mountaineering. And it just like, I want to join you. And we went together, we parked our bikes, and we went in the mountains for a couple of days. We climbed the highest mountain there, quite irresponsible, because we didn't really know what mountaineering was about. But we managed. Luckily, we got out of it alive. And then I thought, I want to do more of that. And I decided to get some courses in Belgium and in the French Alps to do mountaineering courses and become a more or less independent mountaineer and be able to scale bigger mountains.
Wow, fantastic. So Jelle, tell us a little bit more. I know this is different. This is not what people are normally used to. How many of the 7 have you done? And tell us where you moved, where you started from, how you moved from one to the next. I know you did try Everest twice before you summited on the 3rd attempt. Take us through that journey.
Yeah, so actually in there as well, I left from Belgium, so from here where I'm now in my hometown, by bicycle. And it took me about 5 or 6 months, I think, from Belgium to Nepal to go to Everest and to Nepal, to Kathmandu. I worked there as a physio, prepared for Mount Everest. It was a very long journey, around 13,000 kilometers. And that was the first year in 2014 where I met you as well. With the big Serek fall, killing 16 Sherpa. And then I had to return, of course, like all the expeditions got cancelled, and a year later we went back in 2015 when there was the earthquake. I took a flight then. I went back to Belgium, took a flight, And then the third time after the earthquake, I went up, and yeah, the climb was amazing. I went again by bicycle, but from Kathmandu. I didn't cycle from Belgium anymore. I did it once. That was enough. I just loved it, the cycling. It's been an amazing journey to do that. It's a very slow adventure, but it takes you so much. It's very rewarding because you gradually go from one place to another, from one culture, from one surrounding to another, and it's not like very, you don't get thrown into it. You just go very gradually, and you can physically and mentally prepare as well for to climb the summit. And then when you get up there, it's of course
Yeah.
the best
Yeah.
feeling.
Before Everest, you did Elbrus.
Yeah.
Did you also cycle from Belgium to Elbrus, to Russia?
Yes, yes. So actually, when I graduated in Belgium here, I wanted to cycle to Nepal because a friend of mine is a physio, and I wanted to work there. And then I planned to cycle to Nepal, and then I saw actually, while on my track, like Google Maps, I just entered from Belgium to Nepal, and then I saw the route. And I had two options: to go north or south. And when I took the north route, I could make a small detour, let's say, yeah, small, about 600 or 700 kilometers. It takes more than a week of cycling. But then I would be able to pass by Elbrus. And so I just took the opportunity there, like, okay, I'm cycling to Nepal. It's a long distance. I can make a detour, and I can climb Europe's highest mountain, Mount Elbrus. So I just made the detour, which took me a month and a half to get there from Belgium, and then I climbed it completely on my own. I took all my climbing equipment on the bicycle, which was about 100 kilogram of the full bike was about this weight. And then, yeah, it was just an amazing experience, and a very cycling there was a good preparation for the mountain as well, because you're well trained when you get there. Uh, that's the advantage.
I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, for those of you that are just joining us, I'm talking to Jelle, and Jelle is actually attempting to do the 7 summits, but he's either cycling, walking, rowing to all the continents and climbing up. He is called the European Sherpa on the mountain, and I can attest to that. When Sherpas are fixing rope, Jelle wants to go and fix the rope with them. So he's amazing and very strong. So
Thank you.
Jelle, so you have done how many of the 7 so far, and how long did it take you to do those that you have done?
So now, 7 years ago, I started to do the first one, and now I just made 3. So it's going very slowly. I think I will, in the end, I will have the slowest 7 summits in the world, probably, because it just takes a long time to get to these mountains, which is fine, it's okay. But it took me 7 years. I've done 3, so I've done Elbrus, the highest mountain of Europe. Then I climbed Mount Everest in 2016. And then I continued to Papua to climb Carstensz Pyramid. I was there January the 1st on 2019.
Yeah, okay. Did you go through the forest for Carstensz Pyramid? How did you?
Well, very sadly, it took me 2.5 years to get there by bicycle. So the first part was from Kathmandu to Indonesia by bicycle, not probably 9,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
Then I started to row, I was the first person ever to row there from Java to Papua, which was extremely hard. And that took me 2.5 years in total to get there. So I went to the island of Papua. I arrived there by rowboat. Then I started to cycle across the island, which never happened before. So nobody could help me with information. There were barely roads. You can't find any information. Google Maps doesn't really exist there. So it was quite a big adventure. But then, sadly, 60 kilometers before the base camp, there's some rebels, and they killed 30 militaries in a field. So the police, the army, they actually shut down the entire area, causing that I already had the expedition, which for the permits I needed to have the logistical support. But it meant that I still could climb it, but not get there. The last 60 kilometer I couldn't do anymore, which was very shame because I did all the effort to get there. So and there I had to get helicoptered over with the other climbers to base camp, and then I climbed it. So actually I had to skip that part, but I'm still keeping up to date with the situation because one day I want to go back and finish that part because it still feels unfinished business to me.
Absolutely. No, I trust you to do that. I mean, what you did is still quite amazing. I do know about the unrest there. I think for the past year, I don't know anybody that's actually summited that side of the mountain because of the unrest that you actually have alluded to. So of the ones that you have done, which one was the most memorable? And which, do you want to go back and do again? And which one was the most difficult?
Yeah, so I think definitely Everest, for sure. all these questions I can answer with Everest. And one of the reasons is, and as you know as well, it's there have been difficulties with accidents, with nature coming in there, and as well the physical demanding part of climbing Everest, a mountain like that. It's just extremely hard. So it meant that you get a big disappointment the first year you come there, and you need to convince yourself to try it again. Yeah. When you get there a second time, you get another big disappointment, and you need to convince yourself again to try it even harder. And this is I think the most difficult part is getting yourself ready, but especially mentally every time again. Train the whole year, get ready for the mountain, prepare, and be there for a very dedicated time and climb it. And for that's the reason why it was so hard, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And which one of the three would you repeat?
Everest as well, because I still have, as you know as well, I still want to try and climb it without supplementary oxygen. So one day I want to go back and do it.
I trust you to do that. Absolutely. To do that. In fact, you initially wanted to do it without oxygen, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I wanted to do that. Yeah.
But why did you change?
Well, the different reasons, because Dawa and the others, they told me as well, whenever you feel there is no opportunity for you now to do it without, take oxygen. You will never regret it. And that's true. I never regretted it taking it because it made me able to summit. Otherwise, you come back and you don't have a summit of Everest. And actually, that meant a big deal in my experience, in future possibilities, and as well for sponsorships and everything. So I'm really happy I took that opportunity, and it was a very wise decision to do and not take the risk of being like foolhardy and like, I want to have this goal and nothing else. No, I'm very happy that I listened to the experienced people and I just did that. And the weather wasn't perfect the day I summited. There was quite a lot of wind. And then especially going without supplementary oxygen is just suicide. It's already dangerous enough that you need the perfect weather conditions. Otherwise, you cannot go.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for that. How did it feel like on the summit? What time did you summit? What went through your mind, on the summit of Everest?
Yeah. So I remember going up in the last stretch, and then I thought, oh, I'm there, and then oh no, I'm not there, and then it's the next bump. It keeps on going up. That was the first thought I had, and then I thought when I was on the summit, there's gonna be a next bump, and then oh no, we're there. So it was like, oh, surprise. And then I start to look around, and there was quite some wind. So in one side you didn't see anything because there was a cloud of snow going away, let's say, and on the other side you just had an amazing view. And I remember looking around and I thought, because for months you're looking up to all these mountains around you, and like it's beautiful. And then suddenly I realized I shouldn't be looking like this because I'm on the highest point of the world. I have to look down to see other mountains now. And that was just the to realize that was just amazing, because I didn't have to look up to see a mountain anymore. I had to look down to see any mountain. And that just to realize that was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that is yeah. Wow, that takes me back there. You're absolutely right, because you look up and you think, okay. And for me, what was amazing to see the clouds beneath. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, what is that? It plays with your mind a bit.
Yeah, because they're very low sometimes, and then you think I'm so high above those clouds, and then it's
Yeah, exactly. So, Jelle, you are currently, working on coming to climb the highest peak in Africa, which is Uhuru. Tell us about that. Where are you, and what's the route that you use to get there?
yeah. So I think, yeah, last year October November I left first with a friend in a hand bike. He has a muscle disease, so he's in a wheelchair, and we did the first part from Belgium to Spain together. It was a unique experience because I never was in a hand bike before, and for him a great adventure and perfect to do something with somebody like that. It was very nice. Then I kayaked across the Strait of Gibraltar from Spain to Morocco. And then I continued cycling again. So through the Sahara to Senegal. And then I went down all the West African coast. So like the most of the countries there, up until Nigeria. Then I crossed Nigeria by bicycle. And then I went down again to Gabon, Cameroon, Gabon, and then to the Republic of Congo. Of course, now, so I had to stop there because the borders were getting closed because of the current COVID-19 situation. Um, so I couldn't move anymore. And then I decided there's no way this is gonna end soon. And I decided to go back to Belgium. My bicycle is still there, and I still have the plan of continuing this journey whenever possible. I cycled more or less 14,000 kilometers, 6 months from Belgium to the Congo.
Yeah.
And then the next plan is to go down to Angola, to DRC, Angola, Zambia, and then I go up again to Tanzania and then to Kilimanjaro.
Wow, fantastic. Clara, thank you for joining us. She says, awesome story. I
Thank
didn't
you.
think the fact that you can't see other mountains up there. Clara, you can't. You just have to be there. It's such an amazing
Yeah.
feeling. Such a blessing to be up there. Jelle, so you come in and you cycle and you summit Kilimanjaro. When you do, what is the plan then thereafter?
After Kilimanjaro. So the plan is from then I will fly back to Belgium.
Okay.
I'm gonna start from Belgium to cycle to Portugal. From Portugal, I hop on a boat with two friends of mine, and it's a rowboat. So it's all human powered. There's no sail or anything involved. It's only rowing we will be doing from Portugal, probably to Miami. So we're preparing this now as well. We're making the boat to do it with. And then from Miami, I want to cycle all the way up through the States to Canada to Alaska to climb Denali, the highest mountain of North America.
Yeah.
Then I want to cycle all the way down again to South America, to Argentina, and to climb Aconcagua, the highest mountain of South America. And then the final summit is going to be the most extreme one, I think, at least for the approach, is going to cycle to Ushuaia, and from there I want to cross Drake's Passage by rowboat, land in Antarctica, and then ski to Mount Vincent and climb the highest mountain of Antarctica.
Oh, wow.
And then I will be very tired.
I know you, and then you come up with something more crazy than that. We wish you all the best. So,
Thank you.
Just for the guys that are listening, Jelle is a physiotherapist. So when he says that he's flying to Belgium, he's going to work. So how do you support this? It's an expensive expedition for people like me that actually fly to these places, but you actually spend 6 months cycling to these mountains. So how can you afford that? Are you a rich man, or what's up with that?
No, I'm not a rich man at all. Because I don't have a very rich family. I don't have any resources. My whole life is scheduled to do this, to live with the adventure. Luckily, since Everest, I've got some sponsorships, and since then, I don't need to work and save money to do it. But yeah, now with the sponsorships, I'm very happy to have them. So they support me while I'm doing it. I work as a physio, but at the same time, I'm not. I don't have a car in Belgium. I don't have a house. I only rent with several people a house. So we do a co-housing. It's a common thing in Belgium. Not in Belgium. It's getting more or less popular, and it means actually that when I'm gone for 6 months cycling, the only expense, or barely the only expense that I have, is on the spot itself. So when I'm gone by bicycle, it's quite okay, because I pitch up my tent, I make my own dinner in the tent. So it's not that you're not spending a lot of money on that. On other things, yes, mostly it's logistics. For mountaineering, the logistics or the equipment. Luckily, I have some sponsorships now as well. But before, I even went to Everest with some borrowed equipment and things like that, which all helped. And I'm very grateful as well with Asian Trekking, who helped me as well to get to Mount Everest, because I didn't have a lot of resources to fund everything. Yeah. So I'm very grateful as well for their help around. Yeah.
It's actually crazy. I remember in 2014, you had these shoes that had opened up in front, and you're like, that's all I have. I'm still using my broken.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You really are truly, truly amazing. And I'm so excited, and I'm privileged to know you and the resilience that you have. Jelle, how do you choose logistics companies to use? Or I know most of it you do yourself, but if we were to actually ask for a logistics company, what are the things that you would look out for that people can learn from you?
So definitely, for Everest, for me, it was easy. My friend is where I went to work with as a physio. His family has the company itself, the whole experience. And what I look for, especially, and it's the same with Kilimanjaro, I have a logistical company for that. And what is very important to me is I want the people who work there, they are paid properly and they are treated with respect. That's one of the most important things for me, that if a logistical company is there, it's not just about being the cheapest, because then I think it's getting dangerous. I think it's very important when you go to a mountain, you have a logistical company, the people who work for you, they have a good, decent wage, and their safety is very important. So that's one of the things I look for. And then I look for advice with other mountaineers. I ask around, I look for, luckily until now, I've always found good ones, and I try to go locally, because it's not because it's like a Western company, let's say, that it's better, because mostly they actually they buy their expedition in a local way as well. So, and in that way, I just try to I try to find it locally. I did the same with Carstensz Pyramid. It's the same with Kilimanjaro. And I think it's a very good thing to help local communities, and preferably even they have some other projects in the area where they can help the locals to get jobs and a better life, actually.
Yeah. And Jelle, how do you train for all these climbs? I know you're a physiotherapist, but you obviously need to train a little bit more for these mountains, and for your cycling and rowing and God knows everything else that you do. How do you prepare yourself for expeditions?
Yeah, so luckily, like you said, I'm a physiotherapist. Luckily, in that way, I have a good knowledge about the body and how it reacts to training. So I can I can train myself. I don't need a trainer to do that, which is I can advise a lot of people actually when they go to serious mountaineering. It would be helpful to have a trainer and to have some really physical activities. Once in a while, I'll go to some test center to check my heart. I mean, every year, every 2 years, I do that because mountaineering puts a lot of stress on your body, and you don't want to have any health issue on a mountain because it can be very, fatal. So, and I do a lot of, I train a lot actually. I'm just quite addicted to training, let's say. But I like to keep my training very functional in the way that I'm a physio. I live in Ghent and I work in Brussels, which is 50 kilometers from away from each other, and I do that by bicycle. So in that way, I don't have to be stuck in traffic. I do have a 2 hour ride by bicycle to my job. I can do my work, and I have a 2 hour ride back home, and that's full day. That's actually almost every day I do that. In the weekends, then I do some climbing. I do some gym work. It depends how my schedule is made. But I try to keep things functional. So if I have my transportation, I try to do it as active as possible because it helps me. Because when you're in the mountains, you need to be able to withstand fatigue. And sometimes I'm very tired, but I still need to cycle home. And I come home at 11 in the evening, and then I'm tired, but it's a good training mentally and physically. And besides that, I do a lot of rowing because I think that's a very good exercise as well. It trains your whole body. It trains your legs, your core, and your upper body. So I really like to do that as an exercise.
Okay. Did you say yoga?
Sorry?
No. Did you say yoga? Do you do yoga? No.
Sometimes I do yoga as well.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been doing that before, and it's good to. I do a lot of stretching as well to keep my flexibility because it actually for me it feels like it enhances my agility, and it's a very important factor in the mountains to be efficient.
Yeah, interesting. So I've got a few things that I know you do. I want you to choose which one you enjoy the most. So
Mhm.
cycling, running, swimming, rowing, and training in the gym. Which one is your favorite and why?
For me, cycling. Yeah, it's my whole life cycling. It's been all about cycling my whole life, and it still is. And the reason why is I can be outside and I can make a very functional. So, like I said, I cycle to work. So I'm not stuck in a car doing nothing. I'm actually making a very efficient way to be training while I'm moving myself from one place to the other. And that's what I like about because when you have when you have a job and you have the normal life, it's always busy. There's a lot of things to do, and then you need to be a little bit flexible and efficient with your time. And for me, that's the best way.
Absolutely. And what does adventure mean to you?
Adventure means there's a lot of meanings to me for that. It's getting to know places
Yeah.
outside and inside yourself as well that you haven't discovered yet. And it's
Wow.
both for myself. In myself as well. I have been discovering so much about myself as well during adventures and as well on the outside. So I can go to places where I haven't been before, or maybe nobody else, or in some inhabited islands and things like that. And then that's a discovery, but at the same time, you discover by doing that a lot of things about yourself as well. So that's for me one of the meanings of adventure. I've got other things as well that it needs, for me, it needs to be a little bit exciting and it needs to give me the feeling that I'm free in a way. And that's as well important. It can't feel like I'm like a job, It needs to feel like this is free. This is what I live for. And when it's that, then this is for me as well very important meaning in adventure.
Wow. I've never had it explained like that. Thank you for sharing. I know you go to these places that are strange and different cultures. What is the most scary incident that you've had in your adventures, and how did you get out of it?
I think still the most scary thing I've been in is that was the avalanche or the earthquake in Nepal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was
the way you said you were. Yeah.
That was a very, because there I actually, when I saw the avalanche coming right at me, I was sure, and I wasn't even doubting. I was sure it's over, it's gone. And the feeling you get there, I never experienced something like that in my life. And I had several close encounters before, but not like this. This was like very sure. And it took me a couple of months to cope with that, because it's like a trauma, and it takes time. You need to talk to people a lot, and that really helped. I'm very happy. I have a lot of good friends. And even I'm gone a lot, I can come back to Belgium and they are there for me and I can talk with them, and that actually really helped because it took a couple of months to get over it. Yeah.
Tell me where you were exactly, and where was the avalanche coming from? Pumuri or Everest itself?
From Pumuri, yes. So I was in base camp. I just came back, I think, from camp 2. From one of the rotations, we go up and we went down again. And I thought, yeah, I'm gonna film coming down. And then I was like, yeah, let's film. I start to talk. Suddenly the earth starts shaking. But I have been in some earthquakes, but this was like extreme. And I thought, first I was scared. Then I thought, oh, but we're outside. There's nothing that can happen. It's base camp, safe place. And then suddenly one of the Sherpas, he screams at me because he sees this massive avalanche of more than 100 meters high coming straight at us, and we just ran for our lives. And we got so lucky that we ran down, and actually the biggest blow of the avalanche got over us, and then yeah, the effects for us, we just got covered in some dusty snow, and that's it, luckily. But in the avalanche there, it killed 19 people.
Yeah.
So it was a very sad incident.
Yeah.
And a lot of people got injured, and yeah, we were just extremely lucky to get away with it, not even a scratch.
Yeah, that was a crazy time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for sharing that. I remember the first time I met you, you were not sponsored. You, like I said, you had shoes that had opened up. Like, this is all I have. That's what I'm using. And I remember you even lost your watch and you were complaining because you had spent so much money on the watch.
Yeah.
But now you're a sponsored athlete. What are the things that you have learned about getting sponsorship? What are the tricks that you've seen work based on your learnings? Can you share that? Because I know there's some people that will watch this or are watching this now that can learn from your wins and from your losses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A very important thing I always tell now is a sponsorship is nobody gives you money like that. Unless it's some friend with a lot of money, and if you happen to know some millionaire and he's just like, oh, what you're doing is great, here's some very small chance that will happen. So if you want a sponsorship, and I make the comparison a lot with football players, they get a lot of money, they earn a lot of money, and it's not just because they are good football players. The main reason being, a lot of people watch football, and that's why they get paid a lot of money, because it gives publicity to their sponsors. That's why they give money. Yeah. So if nobody would watch football, Ronaldo wouldn't earn any money because nobody would watch him doing it. Mm-hmm. And that's a very important rule to know when you get sponsorship. And so you always need to have something in return for sponsors. And that can be anything. It can be publicity for the sponsor, even maybe for outside the company, but sometimes it's publicity inside the company for their employees, for their customers, and not very like we want to expand our product placement in the world. No, we just want to have our staff, our employees, or our customers more connected to the company with you as our ambassador or something like that. And that creates that's as well a very a big opportunity. Other things is as well what I see, if you get more experience in adventure, you can always I've seen that happen on Everest. I know people who did that, and you can always as well take people with you as an incentive. For example, if you want to climb Everest, you find some sponsors and you tell them like, yeah, as what I want to do in return for the money you're giving me, I take you to base camp. And you see that a lot, and then that's the way they earn their sponsorship, because it's something you need to earn, of course. It's not just giving money; it's actually a cooperation, and you really need to hold on to it. And I think it's a very important thing as well to be very grateful to the sponsorship and to please them as much as you can. But that all depends as well on what they give or not. So it's a very difficult thing to say. For example, if you need to do 50 presentations for the company in a year and they only give you €1,000, yeah, it's not worth the time. So you need to be very it needs to be in balance, of course. So you need to check like, oh yeah, I get sponsored, but actually if you give 50 presentations, I think it's better to get another job, and then the €1,000 will be more in a job, because the time you spend on 50 presentations will never outweigh the money. So that's something very important as well to know, because sometimes I see people as well, oh yeah, they give me this watch and then they have to do a lot of things for it, and then they think like, yeah, but it puts a lot of pressure on you.
Yeah.
So I think it's better to have one or two good sponsors instead of having too many, because that puts a lot of pressure on you. When you do adventures, you need to prepare. It takes a lot of time, especially if you have another job as well. And then if you have to please all these little sponsors, it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, true. Jelle, what are the 3 pieces of, whether it's equipment, 3 things that you take on all your adventures, whether you're cycling or you're climbing? What are those 3 things that you always take with
you? So one of them is extra socks. That's a very important thing. It's I remember when I was squatting, I was living on the streets as a teenager. There was a friend of mine, he was in the army once, and he told me like, if I can give you one good advice, if you do something in the outdoors, you can never have too many socks with you. That's not completely true, but still, it's very important to have an extra pair of socks. So for me, if I have to choose for weight over an extra pair of socks, I will take the extra pair, because I know how important it is. It can make your life very miserable if you're in the mountains and you have wet feet, or if you're cycling or anything else, because you need your feet to move. So that's number 1 for sure. But then what I always take with me is some personal stuff from things people give me, and it's always like small things. And I have a big when I'm mountaineering, it's less big, but when I'm cycling, I have like letters, I have postcards, I have a little bear of one of my best friends. He died when I was 17 years old. I still have the little bear of him, and I took it all the way from Belgium on my bicycle to the summit of Mount Everest. It goes everywhere with me when I'm on an adventure. So that it doesn't weigh a lot. I can put it in my pocket, and these personal things, it's for me something to hold on to, and especially when I have a difficult time, everybody has it mentally, and then it helps you connect to your world back home, and it can help you give you again some energy, and I think that's a very important thing. So I always take that. And then the third thing what I always take is a satellite tracker. As well, the satellite tracker is both. I can connect with back home, because I know I put a very big burden on the people staying behind, because
True.
they worry a lot. And it, if you do things like that, before I didn't think about it too much, but now, since a couple of years, I'm more aware of it, that it's actually very hard for people sometimes, that I'm gone for such a long time, especially in dangerous situations. And with the tracker like that, people can follow me online wherever I am, and they can actually, every 20 minutes, they can see, oh yeah, now he's there, now he's there, and I can communicate with them, and that actually gives them an ease of mind.
Yes.
And it's fun for people as well back home, because then they can follow me, and when I'm doing something important, it's like, oh yeah, that's cool. So
Yeah.
those are the three things I always take with me.
I always say that climbing is a family sport because you're up
Mm,
there. The people are just as worried
yeah.
about. I'm so disappointed that you didn't say gloves because I remember climbing Mira Peak with your gloves. Remember that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, the glass. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I know you've alluded to it that you were a street kid at one point, and you're very passionate about street kids. We've talked about this before, well at base
Mhm.
camp as well as in Kathmandu, and because of that, you have adopted a home in Nepal,
Yeah.
in Kathmandu. Actually, tell us a little bit more about that, the project, how you raise money for it, and why that home specifically. Why not a home in Belgium?
Yeah. So it's a Shangrilahome. It's a Belgian project. It's they take care of about 200 street kids in Kathmandu. About 100 they live there permanently because they don't have any family. The other ones, they can go there for food, for school, but they have still some part of the family where they can go to sleep at night. It's a beautiful project. It's small scale. It's not like a huge project, and which is for me very nice because it gives a better overview how they use their fundings. Let's say I trust them completely when I do some fundraisers for them. I get now with the COVID-19 not, but when I'm in Belgium, quite frequently I do presentations for organizations like Rotary Club, Lions Club, or corporations or things like that. I always ask money, but I don't give my bank account. I just give the bank account of the home, and they take care of it. I do that for schools. They do fundraisers when I go there to give the money to the home. So I really love doing that, and together with my sponsors as well. So it's not just me raising funds; it's actually my sponsors as well. They use part of their, for example, one of the CEOs from one of my sponsors. He had a birthday party last year, and instead of asking gifts for them to come, he said like, "You all donate to the home."
Yeah.
So it was a huge party, and everybody going there, they had to donate money to them, which is great. It's great, you know, that actually my sponsors as well, they're very involved in trying to fund this thing. And the reason for me to do it with street children is obviously because I was 17 years old. I lived on the street for a couple of years, being in squads from home to home, and I got opportunities in life that, because I'm actually accidentally born in Belgium, it's not my fault. I'm just happy that I did.
Yeah.
I got opportunities and I grabbed these opportunities and I was able to become a physiotherapist. But I don't think I would be able to do that in a lot of countries in the world. It just happens to be here, and then the university is very cheap. You get a scholarship if you don't have a lot of money. And when I went to Nepal, some people to cycle, some people said like, "Yeah, you should get sponsored to do that." And I said, "Yeah, maybe I can. I will ask around, but I don't want to do it for myself. I want to do it to raise money for other people." And then I was searching for projects, and a friend of mine, he went to the Shangrilahome in Nepal, and he said, "Hey, but that's a really nice project. You should look into it." I met the founders because they live in Belgium. It's Belgian, it's a Belgian NGO, but they have the work itself is it's in Nepal. And I met them. I was completely sold. It was like very nice people, and the project itself, just love it. And since then, I started to do that. And the reason why Nepal is because I was cycling there, but as well, I think because in Belgium it's not perfect here either. I didn't in I could have used other help as well, but I think the needs are bigger in Nepal than in Belgium. And I still want to do another project as well in Belgium itself with children. But that was for me at that time, there was something like, I think the needs are a bit higher over there than here. Here we already, it doesn't mean that there are no people in need here. Definitely not. But there was a more focus on that at the time. And I'm still in love with the home, and I still want to raise the funds there. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Jelle, what goes through your mind to come from a street kid to stepping on top of the world? I mean, there must be something, a mindset. What did you go through to actually be so ambitious to say, I can move from the streets and step on top of the world?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's something that people just come to. Is there somebody that saw something in you that got you on that trajectory, or what's the story behind all this?
I think it's a lot of people. I'm very happy and thankful for the people I met when I got in the squad, because I met the right people there, people who wanted to do something with their lives. So they were not junks, because a lot of people think, oh yeah, there's a lot of junks and alcoholics and this. I'm really happy I didn't meet them. Those were the right people, and they wanted to do something, and they actually triggered me as well to make something out of it. And by meeting a lot of people like that who are inspirational to me, just because what they're doing, they had some bad decisions in their life or some other experiences, maybe not their fault. And by meeting a lot of different people, my oldest brother is a very important factor in that as well. And I think for me, it always felt that I climbed my Everest when I was 20 years old, when I decided to get a job and to go to university and to become a physiotherapist. And that was actually getting out of it, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not that it was a bad life or anything, but it's just like, it's a huge step to go from one part to become a physiotherapist. And that was, I think, the biggest Everest that I did. And then I thought, yeah, now I can do anything. No, it's not that I can do anything, but at least I started to believe in myself. And
Yeah.
it's a slow process. And I realized, because when I was 17 years old, I had the feeling my whole family is leaving me behind. I have nothing anymore. And I was really, I was depressed, let's say. I was stubborn. I'm gonna do everything on my own. And the moments that I started, I did a small trip once with a bike then for 2 weeks, just with the tent, with two friends, the borrowed bike, and we left. And the more I opened up to the world, the more the world opened up to me. And by doing that, I learned a lot. And then I actually learned as well to get more confident and to believe more in myself, that I was able to do many other things. And by getting to the university, if I would never try it, I would not have known. So I wanted to avoid having not knowing what like you can have a question 10 years later, what if I would have done that? I didn't want to have this question. I want to answer it now and then see if it's possible. And at university, if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have known that was able to do it. And the first year I succeeded, and then I knew, oh, I can go to university. I can handle this.
Yeah.
But I never believed in myself that I could. But at least I tried, and then I understood that I can.
Yeah.
And
yeah. The point is to start. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that's the most difficult part is to start, because everybody, when you start, it's the same with me. Even now, I think a lot of people feel insecure, and it's normal to have that. You know, like, yeah, what's gonna happen? Is it gonna work? Is it not? What is gonna be difficult? and that is very difficult to know in advance. But if you don't know, if you don't try, you will never know that. And that's the reason you should start when you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Jelle, I know when I first met you, you were 28, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
You know, but which I think is very young. What advice would you now give to a younger you at 17 when you're still on the street, knowing what you did? What advice would you give yourself?
Be patient. That's important. A very important lesson I learned, especially doing adventures. I think that's a very important thing is to be patient in life. I still have it once in a while that I want to go and then it's fast and but definitely that be patient because yeah you just want to go everything to be going fast and everything, but I think a very important lesson there is like be patient and keep on going. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm surprised you're talking about patience, because if you were patient, you'd be flying to these mountains and not cycling for 6 months to go and climb. Anyway, so this month, August, is a Women's Month in South Africa. I just want you to maybe say something that you have seen in your, in your climbing and adventure career with women. Do you see more and more women? What is your interaction with them? What is your perception when you see a woman on Everest or on one of your adventures? What do you see that you see today that you didn't see before? And what is your interaction with women? Do you see them as capable as other men? Or do you try and stay away because if there's something wrong with the rope, they might just drop you?
No, actually, most women are better climbers than men.
Oh, really?
In general, really, because there's different reasons for that, and I think physiologically they have seen that in high altitude environments there might be a tendency for women to be better able to cope with it than men.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of research to be done about that. That's just a scientific fact. On the other hand, as well, I think women have more patience than men. They have more patience. So, and that means that they have seen that as well with marathon runners. In a marathon, most men they go, and they in the end, their times in the last kilometers they always go slower and slower and slower. You don't have that with most women. They are better able. They don't have much. They the thing is that mostly with men, the ego is involved a little bit more than with women, I think. And they're like, yeah, he's a stronger climber. I can't let him go faster than me, and they start to follow. And it's not good to do that. You always should listen to your body and not your ego. And that's a very important thing in the mountains. And I think that's one of the other reasons why women can be much stronger. And so it's not about being physically stronger, it's as well being about the complete package. And that is something, especially in mountaineering, is important. It's not just having raw power or a lot of endurance, it's everything. And I think there, I think a woman has a very good opportunity, which is a very strong aspect. Yeah.
Yeah. So hello, Metsi. So Metsi is talking about, you going for Everest first. Metsi, he first did Elbrus before Everest. But I want to ask something related to that. A lot of people, like I found myself on Everest and all I had done is Kilimanjaro. When I look back today, I think I shouldn't have been on the mountain in 2014. I don't think I was ready. What would you say to that? I mean, as a physiotherapist, as somebody that has climbed for years and has done Everest as much as you have, what do you say is probably the best approach to make sure that people are a lot more competent on Everest?
I think one of the it's always hard, but I think a very good approach is I don't think it's specifically the altitude you should have, but you should have the right training. And I mean the technical training, you should be able to, when you go to a mountain like Everest, you should be able, I always tell to people as well, you should actually feel confident that you will be able to climb it on your own. You shouldn't, but you should be able to feel that, because anything can happen on a mountain like that. And if you are with a Sherpa, for example, and something happens to him, you will need to be able to help this person. Because otherwise, or at least yourself. So I think it's a very important thing to, and that's why I did the mountain courses after the first mountain I did as well, is to, as much as possible, become a self-sufficient or a more independent mountaineer. And that doesn't mean that you need to be able to do everything solo. It doesn't mean that at all. But it just means that you should be able to get an idea about equipment, rope techniques, and how all these things work to be efficient in everything you do. Because if you come somewhere and you're not efficient, you lose a lot of energy. And this energy can be used on other parts of the mountain.
Yeah, that's true. Having said that, I must say again, he is Jelle Veyt Sherpa. There's a Sherpa there, so you're superhuman. So Jelle, thank you so much. Tell us what is next. I know you're going back to Kilimanjaro. When do you see that happening? And after your 7 summits, what can we expect from you?
Well, for Kilimanjaro, I don't know. I hope, but I hope to have it done before the end of the year, but I don't know. It's just some hope. I know Congo is opening up. Angola is not yet. The 8th of September, they will have some new updates about everything. It's all dependent on border closures or not. I know people are climbing Kilimanjaro even now. So that's all open. But at the same time, I don't want to risk other people's lives by traveling too soon. So it needs to be safe. I don't want to be some. I just don't want to think about myself and do this trip. If it can be and I can do it safely, yes. But if it's not, then I will need to have to wait. After 7 summits, I as well have some things in my head. I still want to climb Everest, and I still want to climb some other 8,000ers. I love Nepal. I want to go back, and for sure. And I want to, not only that, I don't want to make it all about me, but I want to make some kind of organization or start, and it's gonna be probably by the end of the 7 summits already getting a little bit more in there, to give people opportunities in life and to pursue dreams in an adventurous way. And it doesn't need to be a big adventure, but mostly for people who don't have the needs to do that. Yeah. And that can be all around the world, and it can be anything. It can be cycling, it can be climbing, it can be. But I want to be there to do that, and at the same time, to find funds to do that, of course, and I can do that to help by guiding or things like that. But I really want to help people achieve some dreams, and especially people who don't have the resources to do that.
Yeah, that is amazing. When are you writing your book?
Well, I don't know yet, but I have a journalist who wants to write a book with me, indeed, and there's as well a publisher who wants to publish it. But it's gonna take a long time to make it because there's a lot of stories to be told. So I don't know, maybe in a year or something. It's gonna be, because sometimes I'm gone, sometimes not, and we still have a lot of things to discuss in there. So yeah.
Fantastic. Jelle, when you do your Kilimanjaro, if you find time, cycle through to South Africa, because we
thank you. I would love that.
Our highest mountain is 3,000, about 3,500, not as high, but we can show you around. So don't be a stranger. And
great, thank you.
Time. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Those that are listening now and those that will listen later. That is Jelle climbing the 7 summits using his feet and his own, he calls it human power. So he's cycling, he's walking, and he's rowing where there is no land. Jelle, thank you once again, and we hope talk to you once you're done again.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.